Back again. So I asked recently on our survey about what kind of things you'd like to see next, and generally what you wanted to see. And quite a few of you wanted to see more comm stuff, so we've got some more comm stuff coming up. We're going to be looking at DOCSIS and CATV systems, and to that end, we have some CATV modems. So we have different ends of the spectrum here. We had older and crusty, which I've already torn apart, which didn't work for us. And then we have a fairly modern one provided by a cable TV provider. Before anyone loses their mind about it, this is a faulty unit. This is a faulty unit that was actually obtained legally. So yeah, there's no reason to get all upset about the fact that we've got this one. The other ones have all been purchased on eBay as we've been playing with DOCSIS equipment. We've been trying to find out what works for us. I don't think it's something that we're going to go forward with in using, because although there are benefits to using CATV based systems for us, simplicity on cable runs, lower cost on cable runs, cable that will survive outdoor use in terms of cable TV cable is actually cheaper than exterior Cat 6 or fibre, but we couldn't make this reliably enough for us. We'll keep it for testing, we'll do more. You never know, we might get somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack the elderly Scientific Atlanta open. We'll see if we can get into the Virgin box. It's not necessarily guaranteed we'll get in there. There are absolutely no screws, so the process of getting in here is going to be destructive. But mostly with these boxes, the manufacturer of these quite often hides themselves. For example, I'm pretty sure this is actually a Cisco box. It's not a Virgin Media box at all. Some of them are D-Link. I believe there have been Netgear ones as well. Scientific Atlanta again. These would quite often be badged for the cable network. I have seen these with Shaw cable branding on, and possibly Comcast. I'm not sure on that. And again, this is badged to the Cisco, but this has been seen in other guises. First time I came across cable TV based broadband was in Calgary through Shaw Cable, and they gave us a whopping 1 meg connection over one of the Motorola Cyber Surfer Waves. I have tried to find one of those just because I always wanted to know what was in there and how hackable they were, and there were plenty of rumours that they were actually quite hackable. But not been able to find one. This is a similar vintage, and you can also see a bit of an evolution going on here as well. So if I split these all on their edge, there is a mystery connector there. Shall we see what that is? Probably means there's nothing under there. Oh no, there's a USB 3 port under there. So as you can see, we've evolved a bit. Most of the early cable modems, very much like the early ADSL modems, were USB based, and you can see, let me change to my pointy stick. So you can see there that we've got a USB connection on there. Ethernet, that will only be 10100, and then your connection to the cable TV network. Do we have a date on this? No, we have nothing on this. That does make you wonder about what the provenance of this was, or is that a sticker? No, there is no label of that, so I would suspect, because this one did come from the States, this one has been retired from a cable TV network. Incidentally, in the UK, you've really only got one, potentially two choices of cable TV provider. We don't have the mix of, for example, in Canada, you've got Shaw, you've got Videotron, and I know there's others. In the UK, we did. I believe we had 9X, we had Warner, and we had Videotron. They were all brought under the name brand of Cable and Wireless, or Clueless and Witless, depending on who you wanted to speak to. And eventually that became I can't remember which way. I think it then went to NTL and then went to Virgin. And they have a complete control over the network. So there's none of this buy your own equipment. You use what they tell you to. And in the case of some of their equipment, it is terrible. So you're stuck. We have a slightly later one here. There is absolutely no date on the other one, but we'll see if we can find a date in there. I don't think we have a date. This we do. 0609. So this one is reasonably old. There is plenty of equipment of this vintage still in use. You know, we do find people with routers that are of this sort of age. But anyway, we've moved on a bit now. We've got Wi-Fi. You've got multiple Ethernet interfaces. The cable interface as per usual. And in the case of this one, you have I always get this the wrong way around, but I believe it's an FXO. So this can actually provide telephone lines as well. We got this unit because it is compatible with our CMTS that we have, and we wanted to see if we could actually provide telephone lines down there, and I think we had reasonable success with this one. Incidentally, all of these, with the exception of the Virgin one, do have to go back together, so if I can't get these open, I can't tear them down. And then we move on to the Virgin one. Now, this is going to be the same sort of fare that you get with most providers. Same sort of fare that you get with most provider kit. It's going to be built down to a budget. And I've just noticed it does say quite clearly on the bottom, Netgear. So this isn't a Cisco one. I'm sure there are Cisco ones, and I know some of the set-top boxes are Cisco. We have Ethernet. We have a USB 3, which they obviously didn't want you to know was there. Now, this will almost certainly be based on a Netgear product that is available on the market. So it might be possible to activate this with another firmware. But this is very much Virgin's piece of equipment. You are not allowed to mess around with the software. They're reasonably proactive in getting rid of modems that are not conforming to what they say they should be, mostly because it gets rid of modems that have been hacked or modified. There are no screws on this. I believe, which one is this? This is the Super Hub 2. I believe this has the Intel Cougar chipset problem. So under certain conditions, these play up. They can be put into modem mode. They do actually give you that level of flexibility. A lot of providers don't, but because there is no other way to connect to their network, I'd like to say it's out of the goodness of their own heart. It probably isn't, but you can put these in modem mode and then they become transparent. So let's go back to the Scientific Atlanta and let's work out how we pull this apart. I'm pretty sure we're going to find... Yes, there are screws under there, so we'll just move those feet away. This is not equipment that most people will get their hands on or really be able to do much with. Now, straight away, we're into a problem there. Right, so I didn't need to pull the front ones off. Now, this has tamper-proof screws. That's not uncommon. Hopefully I have something to hand that will get in there. Yes. It's not uncommon to find these fitted with tamper-proof fasteners, basically because they don't want you in there. And by tamper-proof we mean security Torx, which of course anyone that does any kind of work like this, let's zoom me down a bit, will have security Torx. Always makes it a bit more difficult then. Put those to one side because we do want those back. Now, how do we open this? Can we just break the clamshell? Yep. Looking in here, there's really not much to it. We have the tuner here. This talks to the CMTS at the head end or at the local node. Now, a lot of people assume that with a cable connection, you get the whole cable connection to yourself, and that's not true. The CMTS only has one downstream port and multiple upstream ports. So the downstream data coming to you is shared between everyone on that CMTS. I don't quite know how the CMTSs are distributed and how the network is built. There won't be vast numbers of people per CMTS. However, it depends on what CMTS we're using. The one we've got here, Aris, supports 1 downstream channel, and I believe it's 8 upstream channels. There are card-based CMTSs made by Motorola and that, which support multiple cards with that kind of ratio per slot in the chassis. So without knowing how your cable network's put together, there's no way of knowing how many people are on your downstream channel. Incidentally, the fibre optic that Virgin refer to in their broadband their broadband literature, is the fibre connection from the head end to the local cabinets where the CMTSs are. I think they call them nodes. I'm not that familiar with the cable TV network because it's not something I've really had to deal with. And then once you move aside from the tuner head here, there's not really much else. We've got some flash, we've got some RAM, we've got Broadcom chip. We have what looks like a UART port here and some power management. That's all there is to that. This unit will be more familiar to UK people. And if we just pop the lid off of this, there we go. You will see that if I put these side by side, they are more or less the same unit. Even the layout's kind of similar. It's the same processor, different package, RAM, flash, bit of power management, and then your USB connections and that on what looks like a UART header here. We have no screening CAN on here, so you can see the transceiver there, and you can see that this is all completely digital in here. Well, digital with an analog front end. But yeah, there's not really much in those two. I mean, when you look at them like that, it's even more obvious that they are more or less the same thing. So let's pop those aside and let's have a look at the Cisco. The Cisco is a newer version of those modems. Do we have a manufacturing date on here? 2009. We don't have a date on there. And we don't have a date on the other one, I don't think. There's the label that we couldn't find. Date of manufacture, there's actually only a year. That's 2008. So let's just spin some screws out of this one. So this was at the start of the cable TV providers starting to go towards the whole idea of providing everything down one cable. NTL at the time, what would become Virgin, went down the route of separate phone lines, and NTL went down the route of separate phone lines, as I was saying, and some providers, as the ones that may have used this, actually went down the route of delivering the phone lines through the modem. Oh, okay, that doesn't seem right. There is no provision. There's dead spiders in there. There's no provision for that. So this one has obviously seen use. This one came from the States. We brought this in for testing. So we've gradually been buying various modems in for testing. The Teardown, I think I've already done a teardown on for you. But even in this, we're not looking at anything much different. I mean, why change something that works? So we've got our head end again, or our tuner, sorry, hidden away in here. I think I might be able to pop the top off that, but it's not really going to be any different to anything else. Got a silly little screening sausage thing up here. Oh, have they? Yes, they have. They've put the Wi-Fi connector through that. And if I bring you up, again, you can see that's very similar to what was going on Where's the other one? We have a mini PCI card here. Let's just pop that out of the way for a second. And again, we've got a similar sort of layout. So we've got flash, RAM, processor, which is one of the same family as the other two modems. We now have a switch chip in here. Looking at that, I can always guarantee you that's 10100. We have what looks to be a UART header. That could even be USB in there. We have our FXOs here, the circuitry for them, and the FXO controller there. And then we've got a PCI, mini PCI slot, which takes a mini PCI Wi-Fi card. That's not quite in right. This was quite common at the time. It's become less common now. Really is nowhere to tuck that, is there? But it's saved on design of the RF stuff, which was and still is considered deep magic. So could have saved them time. It could potentially have allowed for later upgrades as well. Let's just make sure that is properly in that slot. It is now. But again, it's a tried and tested formula. It's not different really from anything else. But you can see the technology on them is slowly coming forward as we look. I have thought, because I have some epically old VDSL, ADSL kit, that maybe we should do the same. We'll start with a crusty old router and work our way forward. I don't have the latest Virgin router because you're not supposed to have them, and the only one we've got is our dead one here, and oh, it's destroying the place. And this one's sort of a known quantity. Let's just notice that they're also getting bigger as well. So if you are wanting to take one, oh, I forgot the screening can. If you are wanting to take one of these apart, just underneath the WPS pin there is a tamper-proof Torx in there. Obviously you shouldn't be taking it apart, and then it is just get in under here with a spudger, he says, and it does come apart reasonably easy. We've had this apart before, so it possibly doesn't come apart that easy. So we have the famous Intel Puma chipset. This is what's responsible for all the problems with these modems. I will see if I can find a link on the Puma chipset for you. We have a UART for the Puma chipset. Now my understanding is the Puma chipset is basically running the cable modem side of it. I'm not sure it's doing any processing. I have a feeling our processor is up here. We have what is now a gigabit switch controller, and we have surprisingly a mini PCI Express Wi-Fi card. So what have we got under here? Okay, we have our RAM under there. I'm not quite sure why that needs to be in a screening can. We have some power supply gubbins here. We have some more up here. What have we got there? That looks like microwavey goodness. So that's more Wi-Fi under there. And in fact, if we look, you can see up there. So we've probably got 2G and 4G radios in here. The BT hubs actually have DECT connectivity in them, so they sometimes have a separate radio. I'm not 100% sure on these. As I say, there is Netgear branding on everything. Do we try and take that out and just have a quick look to see what it is? I think we should. I don't know, it'll tell us anything. Again, there's not much exciting in here, but you can see quite obviously that we are getting more integrated as we go along. So you could probably live without this card. I don't know if the hub would boot without it. There we go, that comes out. Great. White. So I don't know if this would be of any use for anything else, you can see there is an awful lot of screening and there's some sill pads under there. You could probably chuck this in a normal PC, but I'm not 100% sure what it would do. I'm fairly sure that's a mini PCI Express, bear with me. So I've gone and grabbed a crusty old laptop. Let's just spin that out of there. I suspect now, looking at it, that what we might actually have here is a multi-lane mini PCI Express. Because although they look similar, and the connector's certainly the same. Oh no. Yeah, so, you know, that would sit in there. That's not going to go in a laptop, and I don't know what the effect of doing that would be. It's almost tempting to power that up, but not today. So yeah, that's exactly the same as that Cisco modem, and it is really a money saving measure, I believe. Obviously it makes a little less sense on this one because they've gone to the hassle of putting some Wi-Fi on board already. I suppose the other reason for it could be regulatory reasons. I can't quite get that one. Regulatory reasons. There we go, that's back in. So looking here, obviously we have seen the connector. Sorry, I just want to get these back on. We have seen a connector for the Wi-Fi for the Puma chipset. I believe it's Puma Lake is what Intel call it. That would be that one. But I have just noticed that we do have another UART connector just down here. So we've got more UART pins in here. Don't expect to be able to do much with them, especially the Cisco and this one as well. I would imagine I'm going to be fairly well locked down. You might be able to watch the boot process, but I very much doubt you'll be able to do much with it. But there you go, that's all that's in there. They're not fundamentally massively different from ADSL and VDSL routers, but as you can see they have grown. We've added more features to them, we've removed features, we've upped the speed, and obviously that we're now thinking of putting gigabit ports on these routers is a reflection of how much the available speed on these systems have come up. So there we go. Just a quick poke inside a couple of cable modems. What we're going to do next with these is I will bring the CMTS over and we'll have a walkthrough on that, and maybe we'll try some silly stuff with the CMTS. If you haven't had a look at my webpage, which is linked at the end of the video, there is some more detailed stuff about the CMTS on there, because I have been through and configured it and we have tested it. So we have all the stuff we need to do, setting up the DOCSIS files that are used to control the modems, all things that you need to do before you're going to be able to use these. So that might be worth a look. It might help you understand the video a little bit better when we get to it. But other than that, there we go. So do you want me to grab some really old crusty routers and do the same thing, and we'll have a quick look at the technology that's advanced on them, because some of the routers really have come on quite a way now. Depends on whether you're interested in that stuff. Anyway, thanks for now. Bye.